Now, you have stated that the womb is the unsafest place for an Australian child. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Abortion is the leading cause of death in Australia. So it's not recorded in the official statistics, which refer to cardiovascular disease as being the leading cause of death. But if we think about the human beings in our country and the cause of death that kills the most human beings, well, without a doubt, it's abortion. Every year, there's at least 88,000 babies in utero who are killed directly and intentionally through abortion.
Wow.
So it is the leading cause of death. And I've called it out as the biggest human rights challenge for our generation to tackle. Now, abortion activists have been confusing things ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned. And they've been trying to make women believe that the treatment for an ectopic pregnancy or for a miscarriage is an abortion. And I want to make it clear to viewers that when I'm talking about 88,000 babies being killed through abortion, I'm not talking about babies who were going to die anyway because they were in the fallopian tubes and they were an ectopic pregnancy, or because they died naturally from natural causes because of a miscarriage. Abortion is not the same thing as an ectopic pregnancy or a miscarriage. In the latter two, the baby dies naturally or the baby was not going to survive. But in an abortion, we are intentionally ending the life of a human being. In Australia, we are doing that to 88,000 children every year. So that's 1 in 5 babies in utero every year are being killed in this way. So it's far more unsafe for children to be in the womb than any other place, at the shopping centre or the playground, unsupervised, at the beach. This is where it's actually unsafest for an Australian child to be, and yet it's completely swept under the rug.
And it's such a confronting fact because you'd think that the womb would be just the safest place where a child can rest easy until it's their time to enter the world. And that's an important distinction you raise about ectopic pregnancies and miscarriages, because it's a massive false flag. I mean, when Roe was overturned, they were throwing around that idea, oh, well, if you have an ectopic pregnancy, you won't be able to get it removed because, your doctor will go to jail. Is that a very deliberate diversion, do you think, or are these women just confused?
I absolutely think it was a deliberate attempt to obscure the reality of what Roe was about. So to be clear, Roe prevented states from having limitations on abortion. And so what that meant is you could kill a baby up until birth, and it wouldn't be okay or legal for states to then introduce laws that say we want to protect a baby after viability or after heartbeat or after 15 weeks when they can feel pain. And so it created a carte blanche on abortion in America, in that there were no capacity for states to introduce restrictions. And so when it was overturned, it really actually wasn't that dramatic. All it did was it sent it back to the American people, in that each state could then determine their own abortion laws, which is exactly what we have in Australia. But I think the abortion industry and the pro-abortion activists, it suited them to have an all-male American Supreme Court in the 1970s determine that abortion up to birth should be legal and not restricted in America as a constitutional right. So Roe was not dramatic in the sense that this now left it up to the normal democratic processes. And when Planned Parenthood, which is $1 billion corporation making money off abortion, and they make more money the more abortions they sell, when they realise that this threatens the huge profits of the abortion industry globally, but particularly in America, they then sought to obscure the facts and to try and make it seem like the treatment for an ectopic pregnancy and miscarriage was an abortion, and that doctors would be going to jail, women would be going to jail, and women would be dying because they couldn't access these treatments for miscarriage. Now, maybe I should really get into the specifics here, Daisy. The reason they were able to do this lie so successfully is because the treatment for a miscarriage is actually an abortion method. It's a dilation and evacuation, a D&E for short. And what that does is if you are miscarrying and the baby doesn't come out naturally through that process of miscarriage, they will have to go in and do a surgical operation to remove the rest of the baby. Otherwise, it's very dangerous for the woman and she can get sepsis. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I've done my research and that's my understanding, that they'll use the same method. But the difference is, with a miscarriage, the baby has already died or is dying. So the doctor's not intentionally going in to kill the baby. Now, with an abortion, And a dilation and evacuation is used after 12 weeks. So these are babies that are fully developed and are very close to pain capable, or they can feel pain. And the doctor goes in with metal forceps and rips off an arm of the child while still alive and conscious, pulls out the arm, goes in there, wrenches another arm, wrenches another leg, grabs the torso. This is with metal forceps, cold, hard metal forceps. Then eventually goes in and crushes the skull of the child with these forceps and pulls that out too. And so it's the same method, it's the same surgical procedure, dilation and evacuation, but with one, you are intentionally seeking to violently and brutally end the life of a child without pain relief. And in the other, the child is already dying naturally or has died. And so no pain is experienced. It's a completely different thing. But the abortion industry and pro-abortion politicians sought to obscure this fact. So, Stacey Abrams from the Democratic Party in the US famously said, there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. And Planned Parenthood changed its website to reflect what Stacey Abrams had said, because they're trying to obscure these very basic realities. But if you go to any, what to expect when you're expecting website or book or as myself, I've had babies, you've gone in, you can hear the heartbeat from 4, 5, 6 weeks, by 6 weeks, it's certainly audible. And so they really are trying to dehumanize a group of people in order to allow us to kill them without any respect for their human rights.